I was 68, and I thought I was aging gracefully enough. Then came the afternoon that changed everything. It wasn't a doctor's diagnosis or a dramatic fall, but something much quieter and, in its own way, much more terrifying. We'd been playing on the floor, my granddaughter and I. When it was time to get up, she sprang to her feet. I, on the other hand, could not. I tried to push myself up, and my arms just gave way. My 5-year-old granddaughter looked at me with such worry and offered her little hand to help pull me up. In that moment, I felt a profound sense of failure. My wife had to help me get to my feet, and I just laughed it off. But inside, something had broken. That was the day I met my real antagonist. It wasn't just getting older. I gave it a name: the slow fade. It was the insidious belief that my strength, my capability, and my independence were just going to seep away, day by day, until there was nothing left. I used to be so active. Sarah and I would go for long hikes. I could spend a whole day landscaping the yard. I could lift, carry, and move without a second thought. My body was a reliable friend, a tool I could count on. But the slow fade had been sending warning shots for years. I just hadn't been listening. I'd started avoiding stairs, pretending it was just easier on my knees. A simple jar lid would defeat me, and I'd pass it to Sarah with a joke, masking my frustration. The real cost of this decline was my world shrinking. I started making excuses to avoid things I once loved. The garden, my sanctuary, now seemed like a field of obstacles. I felt myself retreating, becoming a man who sat in a chair and watched others live. More than anything, I feared becoming a burden to Sarah. I had always been the one to fix things, to provide the muscle. Now, I saw her looking at me with a new kind of concern, and it ate away at my sense of self. I finally went to my doctor, hoping for a solution, a pill, anything. He listened patiently, ran some tests that came back normal for my age, and told me to stay active and eat well. The advice felt so generic, so dismissive of the deep fear I was feeling. I went home and just sat there, defeated. This was it, I thought. This is what the rest of my life looks like. A slow, managed decline where every day I would be a little less capable than the day before. The slow fade had won this round. I felt old, weak, and irrelevant. The joy I used to feel in physical activity was replaced by a constant, low-grade anxiety. I was a prisoner of my own body. My days fell into a sad rhythm. I'd read the paper, watch some TV, and feel tired by noon. Sarah would try to coax me out for a walk, but the effort just felt monumental. Each day was a repeat of the last. Even at family dinners, I felt like a ghost. I was there physically, but my energy was so low, my spirit so dampened, that I barely participated. I just listened, feeling like my vibrant self was a distant memory. One morning, I caught a glimpse of myself in the hall mirror, and I stopped dead. It wasn't the wrinkles or the gray hair that shocked me. It was the posture of defeat, the visible lack of vitality in the man staring back. I resigned myself to it. My own father had grown frail in his later years, and I just assumed it was my genetic destiny. This is just how it goes, I told myself, trying to make peace with a future I didn't want. My friends would call to play a round of golf or go for a walk, and I'd always have an excuse. The truth was, I didn't think I could keep up. Bit by bit, the isolation that comes with inactivity began to set in. I saw how Sarah started watching me, her eyes filled with a love that was now mixed with fear. She'd insist on carrying the heavy laundry basket, a job that had always been mine. It was a small thing, but it felt like a massive shift in our partnership. My favorite chair faced the front window, and it became my portal to a world I no longer felt part of. I saw life, energy, and movement everywhere outside. Inside, I just felt stagnant and old. I truly believed I had crossed a threshold. The vibrant, capable man I once was felt like a character from a book I'd read long ago. I was just waiting, managing my decline, and it was a deeply sad way to live. Then came a sleepless night. I was so filled with a quiet dread about my future that I just couldn't rest. I went downstairs, opened my laptop, and typed the words that would unknowingly change my life: muscle loss after 60. I clicked on an article from a gerontology journal, and there it was. A word I had never heard before: sarcopenia. It means the progressive and generalized loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength that is strictly correlated with the physical decline of aging. My heart started beating a little faster. The article explained that while sarcopenia is common, it is not an inevitable fate. It's accelerated by a sedentary lifestyle, and most importantly, it can be slowed, stopped, and even reversed. The solution wasn't the vague stay active advice my doctor gave me. It was specific: progressive resistance training. Lifting weights, using resistance bands, using your own body weight to challenge your muscles to grow stronger. The article was filled with studies showing men and women in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s rebuilding lost muscle. For the first time since that day on the floor, I felt a flicker of hope. This wasn't some miracle cure, this was science. It gave my problem a name, and it offered a concrete, evidence-based solution. The slow fade wasn't a ghost, it was a treatable condition. Of course, the hope was immediately followed by a wave of doubt. Me, lift weights. At 68, with creaky knees and a bad back, the fear of looking foolish, or worse, hurting myself, was immense. But the hope was stronger than the fear. I spent the rest of the early morning researching. I found videos and articles on resistance training specifically for seniors, starting with exercises you can do from a sturdy chair. This felt manageable. The next day, I didn't tell Sarah what I was doing. I took a dining room chair into the living room, and following a video on my tablet, I tried my first chair squat. It was clumsy, and my thighs burned after just a few repetitions. I only did about 10 minutes. But when I finished, drenched in a light sweat, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, a good kind of tired. It was the feeling of having challenged my body and won. It was a tiny victory, but it was mine. The next day, my legs were sore, but it was a different kind of ache than the usual stiffness. This soreness felt earned. It was a sign that I had actually worked my muscles, woken them up from their long slumber. I knew this would only work if I was consistent. I made a promise to myself: 3 times a week, no excuses. I marked it on the calendar, and each time I finished a session, I drew a big X through the day. That simple act felt incredibly powerful. After about 2 weeks, Sarah looked at me one evening and smiled. "You seem different," she said. "There's a spark back in your eyes." I finally told her about sarcopenia and my secret chair workouts, and her smile grew even wider. Feeling more confident, I ordered a set of resistance bands online. This felt like a major step. Suddenly, my living room workouts had more variety and intensity. I could feel muscles in my back and arms engaging in ways they hadn't for years. The key was progressive overload. Once 10 repetitions of an exercise felt manageable, I'd push for 12. When the light band became too easy, I moved to the medium one. I was teaching my body how to adapt and overcome challenges again. The first real proof came one day after grocery shopping. Without even thinking, I grabbed all the bags from the car and carried them inside in one trip. It was something I hadn't done in at least 2 years. I stood in the kitchen, my heart swelling with pride. It wasn't a perfectly smooth journey. 1 week, my knee arthritis flared up and the pain was discouraging. The old, defeated voice in my head whispered, "I told you so. You're just too old and broken for this." I was tempted to just stop. But then I thought about the core principle: adaptation. Instead of quitting, I adapted. I rested my knee for a few days, but continued with seated upper body and core exercises. I learned to listen to my body, working with it instead of against it. After a few months of working out alone, I felt ready for more. I found a senior strength and balance class at our local community center. I was nervous to go, worried I'd be the weakest one there, but Sarah encouraged me. Walking into that class was another turning point. The room was filled with people my age and older, all at different levels, all cheering each other on. My fear of looking foolish vanished. I wasn't an old man trying to work out. I was part of a community. The instructor was fantastic. She showed me how to do a proper squat to protect my knees and how to engage my core to protect my back. With her guidance, I started using light dumbbells, something I never would have dared to do on my own. My life had entered an upward spiral. The strength training gave me more energy, which made me want to be more active. Being more active helped me sleep more soundly, which in turn gave me even more energy for my workouts. The grayness was lifting. A huge moment for me was returning to my garden. I bought a 40-pound bag of soil, lifted it from the trunk myself, and spent the entire afternoon on my hands and knees, planting and weeding. I wasn't afraid of the ground anymore. One Saturday, instead of waiting for Sarah to coax me, I turned to her and said, "It's a beautiful day. Let's go for that hike we used to love." The look of pure, unadulterated joy on her face was a reward in itself. My goal wasn't to look like a bodybuilder. It was to build a body that could handle real life. I wanted the strength to lift my grandchild, to carry the luggage on a trip, to live my life without physical limitation. That's true functional fitness. The biggest change wasn't even physical, it was mental. My entire mindset shifted from I can't to let's see how I can. I stopped seeing my body as a source of failure and started seeing it as a resilient, adaptable partner in my life. Now when I meet up with old friends, the tables have turned. They're the ones noticing a change in me. "You look great, Arthur," they'll say. "You're standing taller." And I get to share my story about fighting the slow fade. I learned that the benefits went far beyond just muscle. The exercises improved my balance, which is the #1 defense against a life-altering fall. It was also helping my bone density and my metabolism. It was a total system upgrade. My journey into strength training also made me care more about what I was eating. I learned the importance of getting enough protein to help my muscles repair and grow. I started seeing food as fuel for my active life, not just something to pass the time. My relationship with Sarah transformed, too. We were back to being active partners. We started planning trips that involved walking and exploring, not just sitting. The fear in her eyes was replaced with the look of adventure we used to share. About 6 months into my journey, I found myself in the exact same situation. I was on the floor, playing with my granddaughter. When it was time to get up, I felt a brief flash of the old fear. But this time was different. I placed my hands on the floor, tightened my core, and pushed up with my legs, rising to my feet with an ease that felt miraculous. My granddaughter didn't even notice because this time it was normal. For me, it was everything. In that simple, quiet moment, I knew I had beaten the slow fade. I had faced the moment of my greatest shame and rewritten the ending. I wasn't a victim of aging. I was an active participant in my own vitality. Now I revel in the small things, bounding up a flight of stairs, bending down to tie my shoe without having to brace myself. This freedom of movement is something you don't appreciate until you lose it, and getting it back is an incredible gift. My definition of old has completely changed. It's not a chronological number. For me, old was a feeling of weakness and resignation. Now, at 69, I feel younger, stronger, and more capable than I did 2 years ago. In my strength class, I see new people come in with that same look of fear I once had. I make a point to go over and share my story. I tell them how I started, feeling weak and hopeless, and it helps them see that they can do it too. My world is no longer shrinking. It's expansive and vibrant. My calendar has golf games and dinner dates and plans to visit national parks. I am an enthusiastic yes to life's invitations again. This journey gave me the ultimate boon, renewed vitality. It's more than just not being sick. It's the energy to be present, the strength to be capable, and the confidence to know that my body is my ally, not my enemy. When I catch my reflection now, I see a different man. He stands taller. His eyes have a spark. He looks ready for the day ahead. I finally recognize myself again. I have so much respect for my body now. I pushed it, and it responded by getting stronger. I challenged it, and it adapted. It's not the body of a 20-year-old, but it's a resilient, capable, and amazing machine. Now, I am the grandpa I always wanted to be. I can lift my granddaughter up to put the star on the Christmas tree. I can chase her in the yard until she's breathless with laughter. Our time together is defined by joy, not by my physical limits. Sarah and I are planning a trip to Italy next year. We're going to walk the ancient streets of Rome and explore the hills of Tuscany on foot. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not worried if I'll be able to handle it. I'm just purely excited. This is my vibrant after. It's a life where I am an active creator of my health, not a passive victim of age. The contrast between the man trapped on the floor and the man planning a trip to Tuscany is a testament to the fact that it's never too late to change your story. The old me would have looked at a bag of mulch and sighed. The new me sees it as a chance to use the strength I've built. It's a complete reversal of perspective, and it has changed everything about how I experience my day. If I could give one piece of advice, it's to name your antagonist. For me, it was the slow fade caused by sarcopenia. Once I knew what I was fighting, I could find the right weapons to fight it with. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. My journey back to strength started with 10 minutes and a kitchen chair. Find the smallest possible step you can take today and then take it. That's how you begin. Don't just rely on vague advice. Empower yourself with knowledge. Learning the science behind sarcopenia and resistance training gave me a solid foundation of hope. It showed me a clear, proven path forward. I've learned that aging is not a synonym for decline. It's a new chapter, and we have incredible power to decide how that chapter is written. We can choose to adapt, to build strength, and to pursue vitality at every age. The strength I've built is a gift I give myself every single day. It's the gift of independence, the gift of being able to help others, and the gift of participating fully in my own life. It is the bedrock of a truly golden age. I no longer look to the future with fear. I look at it with anticipation. What new hike can I take? What project can I tackle? What new memories can I build? My future is a landscape of possibility, not a hallway of closed doors. Your body has not given up on you. It is waiting for you to challenge it. It has a deep, innate ability to get stronger, no matter your age. You just need to provide the spark. If my story resonates with you, if you feel that slow fade creeping in, please know it doesn't have to be your reality. It is never, ever too late to start. Your own journey to renewed vitality can begin today with one small decision.
Thank you so very much for watching this video today. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you enjoyed.